Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to this IEEE site webinar on guidelines for preparing a strong IEEE site group petition. I'm very excited for this session today. And this is just done, of course, with the intention of with our site volunteers in mind, those who have heard perhaps about site, would like to take that next step of getting involved, of forming a group. And today I'm joined by some wonderful volunteers who are going to explain to you not only how to do it, but the reasoning behind site groups, our petition forms, and characteristics of a strong proposal. So today I'm joined by members of the Site Operations Subcommittee. We have Ms. Connie Kelly, we have Dr. Norlisa Moore, Mr. Matthew Imhoff, our Site Operations Subcommittee Chair, Dr. Darwin. And I'm also joined by the Site 2021 Committee Chair, Mr. Luanga Herbert. And Luanga is going to be introduction. And I'm Luanga.
Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to join this session today. As Juliana mentioned, I'm Luanga Herbert, the 2021 Site Chair. To arrive at this level of leadership, I've gone through the following experiences and steps of development. To begin with, I started as a site volunteer, whereby I volunteered to perform a number of different activities and roles, among which others included initiating different projects to serve real life needs and challenges facing communities. I have also served as a site chair of Uganda Site Group. And from these responsibilities, I have managed to acquire a number of lessons and experiences that have greatly inspired me, my efforts in becoming a leader of considerable influence, both at national and international levels. Well, today, we'll be covering a brief introduction to the Humanitarian Activities Committee at IEEE site, the Special Interest Group on Humanitarian Technology. Then I'll transition to my site operations subcommittee colleagues so that they can share about preparing a site group petition, the 2021 petition form, and characteristics of a strong site group petition. At the end, as time allows, we can take questions from our attendees. IEEE HAC reports to the IEEE Board of Directors and provides leadership as well as a suite of resources that require and enable IEEE volunteers around the world to carry out and support impactful humanitarian technology and sustainable development activities at the local level. HAC's work focuses on, one, raising awareness. And in this respect, HAC engages in outreach efforts so that existing and potential IEEE members know how they can use their technical skills for social good. HAC also provides training through educational materials and opportunities, allow humanitarian technology and sustainable development activities participants to obtain necessary skills. For example, to date, more than 540 individuals have participated in the HAC and site courses on the IEEE Learning Network. Supporting humanitarian technology and sustainable development activities that contribute to the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs. For example, from 2016 to 2021, HAC awarded over $2.6 million to 329 projects and events. So far in 2021, HAC and site received a record number of 380 proposals from 39 countries and funded 70 projects from 16 countries. HAC looks also at creating sustainable development community through collaborations within and beyond IEEE. Site is a program and subcommittee of HAC. The site global network of IEEE volunteers partner with underserved communities and local organizations to leverage technology for sustainable development. There are over 19,000 site members throughout the world, and roughly 62% of them are student members and young professionals. Members who participate in site activities many times find it to be a rewarding experience that allows for gaining hands-on knowledge, improving technical skills, networking, and making positive change in the local community. Site encourages its individual members to form groups consisting of at least 6 IEEE members who come together to, for example, learn about sustainable development, build relationships within their local communities, implement humanitarian technology and sustainable development group projects that utilize technology to tackle key problems within the community. Since site's inception in 2011, 198 site groups have been established in 53 countries. I wanted to provide a bit of background on site's history, as this year we are celebrating 10 years of IEEE site. In 2011, the site program was conceptualized and inaugurated along with the IEEE Humanitarian Ad Hoc Committee. And then in 2012, site launched operations. You can see how the program has grown and reached impact milestones over the years to be what it is today. This year, site hopes to reach both 20,000 individual members and 200 site groups. We also have received a record of 316 proposals for both the HAC calls for proposals this year, many of which were submitted by site members and site groups. Here's a map to demonstrate site's significant worldwide reach. This depicts approximately locations for the 198 site groups that have been established. There are many benefits to engaging in humanitarian technology and sustainable development activities at IEEE, such as the opportunity to learn and develop professional skills, connection and community with like-minded IEEE members around the world, as well as members of your own local community. Working towards a greater purpose, making a real difference. With IEEE, you can use your technical skills to give back, something that can be hard to find in other volunteering opportunities. At this time, I will hand off the presentation to Dr. Noriza Nur, a member of this year's Site Operations Committee. Dr. Nur will tell us more about the steps to prepare the site group petition. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Herbert. Hello, everyone. Now my turn to explain about how to prepare for you to form a site group, right? So there are 5 steps of the process. So how can you start? All right, next. Right, site groups consist of at least 6 IEEE members who come together to learn about sustainable development, implement, build a relationship within their local communities, then implement humanitarian technology and sustainable development group projects that utilize technology to tackle key problems within the community. So, and then also we would like to encourage for you to invite your non-IEEE members to join the local site group, because there will be a lot of many other members who are non-IEEE who like to join, right? Then groups should also be affiliated with existing IEEE organization unit or usually a section or student branch. Next. Right, so how to submit? So before submitting a site group petition, because you will need to submit a site group petition online. So hence, normally what you do, you get an empty form and then start thinking about it and creating and writing it down before online, before you go to the online portal. Right, so before you submit a petition to start a new group, check to make sure that there is not an existing site group at your section or student branch or other IEEE organization unit, right? And then you can see the map on the site website homepage. Check IEEE rosters or OU analytics if you have access, or write to site@ieee.org and to see whether there is a group already formed in your section or in your student branch. Then review a blank petition form ahead of time to begin considering your responses. Please note that only site group petitions submitted via the HAC/site online portal will be evaluated. Okay, so there is 5 processes to submit a site petition group. So the first one is think. So step 1, familiarize yourself with the overall site program. Think about a specific community with a need that could be addressed through a technological solution, right? So please just select maybe 1 or 2 specific communities and do not overdoing it by, trying to solve everything, right, for that community. So normally you just maybe, start with a simple one. For example, a local community entity with a need may include a rural school with a consistent power supply. No, a rural school without a consistent power supply, or a medical center without a digital database to collect patient information, or an organization that works with the local indigenous community that needs a stable internet connection, right? So there are many problems arises within that community. So normally just select a few because we cannot expect you to solve all the problems, right? So normally you just concentrate or focus within 1 or 2 problems. Then list your skills, your capabilities, local connection, experience, and passion that you could apply to address the need identified. Okay, this is very, very important, right? So normally with the local connections, the local NGOs or local agency which you need to collaborate. So you must make sure that it is the correct one for the problem that you would like to solve. Then consider how you could connect with leaders of the community to learn more about the challenge and discuss working together. So this is one of the most important part. Okay, next, step 2 will be build. So where will you start and where will your site group be formed? So all site groups should be affiliated with an existing IEEE organization unit. All right, it can be either the IEEE sections or subsections, right? And then it can also be the IEEE student branch and also IEEE society or IEEE society chapter. Okay, form a team of the interested individuals where you must have at least 6 active IEEE members to join the proposed group. All of the members should belong to the same IEEE organization unit with which the group will be affiliated, either section, subsection, or student branch. For the student branch, at least 1 member should be of an IEEE member grade or higher. Next, you plan how you and your group members will work together to build each other's knowledge and capabilities in the area of humanitarian technology and sustainable development. So recommended, take the free interactive HAC site courses of the IEEE Learning Network, right? So for those who like to know, how you want to manage, how you want to start. So there is a few courses in the IEEE Learning Network. So here we give some example: Introduction to the Sustainable Development, Multidisciplinary Perspective in Humanitarian and Sustainable Development Activities, Community Engagement in Sustainable Development Projects, Humanitarian Technology for Sustainable Development. Okay, next. All right, so next is the sign, step 3. So you have to navigate to the HAC site online portal to complete and submit your petition. If you are a first-time applicant, you will need to create an account, then navigate to the apply page and select the site group petition process. You have to collect the necessary signatures on the member and OU approval document and upload it to your petition. All right, so step 4 is send. Once you have submitted the petition form in the online portal, a site staff member will review it to ensure completeness and alignment with site scope of work. If all conditions are satisfied, the site office will confirm that the petition is complete. And the last step is step 5, approve. IEEE site will review your application. If there are questions or concerns, we will write to you to request clarification. So if your petition is accepted, you will join the many site groups around the globe that are partnering with the underserved communities and local organizations to leverage technology for sustainable development. Right, so these we give you a few tips for success. So before submitting your petition, check the items below to ensure that the petition you have submitted is complete. So the first one is the group should have at least 6 active IEEE members. At least one person in the group should have an IEEE membership grade of member or higher. So for groups formed within the IEEE student branch, please include your counselor or another faculty member who will be involved in the group's activities. So this is very important because IEEE student branch will link to your faculty. So we want to make sure that one of your faculty member will be responsible for the group. Right. So next is the last one, the member and the OU approval document should include group member signature in addition to the signature of the section chair. Right. Thank you. Now I pass over to Juliana back again.
Dr. Norlisa, thank you so much for presenting on the steps to complete a site group petition form. And now we're going to pass it over to, Dr. Connie, that's you, right?
Yeah.
Okay, well, the beginning of everything is the petition form. Now, what you're going to see right now may differ slightly from the form you've been working on, and that's because we're in the process of updating the form. So within the next few days, this will be the form you see. So let's get started. A strong response includes descriptions of community population, basic demographics, location, and any existing relationship with specific organizations or entities that represent your community. It's not a requirement, but it's definitely a plus. It's very important to research your local community and know exactly what you're going to be going into and in what environment. Some examples of a local community entity with a need might be a rural school without a consistent power, medical centers, need for broadband, or simply educating the population on technology and how it can affect them. Next. Okay. One of the most important things is an understanding of the community you're going to be working with. And it's very important to actually talk to the community, because sometimes your idea of what a community needs and what the community's idea of what the community needs can be very different. So it's very important that you have a relationship with the community and truly understand exactly what they need and what they're thinking of. And if you're making assumptions as you fill out the form, it's important that you indicate that these are your assumptions, and also indicate any research you've done, any reports that you're referencing. Basically, document sources of all the items that you feel the community needs or that the community feels they need. And as I said, cite your research. A strong response clearly defines specific activities that the group can do to address these needs. And these activities should be within the scope of IEEE expertise. Saying you're going to build a dam probably is not going to get a petition approved because building dams is not within IEEE expertise. Whereas setting up hotspots for broadband is definitely an IEEE area of expertise. IEEE is a trusted voice for engineering, computing, and technology information around the globe. Many activities and projects are very heavily centered on education, on safety, on healthcare, but these shouldn't be your primary focus. If you're unsure about what would be an IEEE area of expertise, there's a list of technical societies listed in the petition form so you can get an idea of exactly where IEEE falls in. And as I said, make sure it's something that IEEE actually can do, because sometimes something may very well benefit the community, but it is definitely not something IEEE should be working in.
Okay, so continuing on petition, question 4 is about existing relationships with local organizations such as universities, businesses, or government entities. And so this is really an extension of what Connie mentioned in question 2, I think, where we investigate what the community needs are, but also how is your site group going to talk to the community? I know in my case, where I live, in the middle of Sydney, Australia, there is a lot of public housing. There are a lot of Aboriginal Australians. There is a lot of homelessness. But, you know, despite all these challenges that I can see around me where I live, you know, I'm not going to talk to my neighbors about this, how technology can help them. I'm going to work with other organizations that address these issues. So it could be a local school, it could be a local university who will have their relationships with other community organizations. It could be a local charity. It could be local businesses. It could be local government. So think about which organizations are already addressing the challenges that you are seeing in your community, and who can you work with? Who can you talk to as your site group to add the IEEE technical expertise to the work that they're already doing. So this is kind of a more of a background research into your community challenge. Who is already working this space? Who can you work with to help your site group achieve the goals it wants to achieve? On to question 5. Question 5 is very similar. Question 5 is, what is your plan? What is your plan to engage local community? So you can think about it. So as Connie mentioned, over here you have all the experience that you have as IEEE members, as electrical engineers or data engineers or IT engineers, or whatever expertise you bring as engineers or engineering students. But over here is all the experience that your other stakeholders, your organizations that we're going to work with as an IEEE site group, all that they know about the problems that your local community faces. So question 5 here is, how do we bridge that gap? How do we engage the local community to say, you know, this is what IEEE can provide. You know, we have a lot of very smart electrical and information engineers. and engineering students at the IEEE. What are we going to provide, and how are we going to explain that to local community organizations, to show that we can address these local community problems. We can work with the organizations that you've identified to address the problems and challenges that you've identified in the first two questions in your petition. So, and then think about how you will firstly introduce local community to what IEEE site can do for them, but also, and we'll get to this a bit further on in the next question, in the next couple of questions, how can your IEEE site group engage with the local community to learn about what exactly is going on with these challenges? Because think of it like we can be technical experts in the IEEE, but there are also other experts out there, people who are in the local community that you're working with, who are experts in what should be done to improve their lives and to have the impact that you want to have as an IEEE site group. So think about what sort of events, what sort of plan do you have to bring all those skills together to engage the local community? And part of that is in question 6, which is the plan for your site group's own learning. So, in my experience, the engineers of today need to develop an understanding of how to better engage with all kinds of stakeholders, especially stakeholders who are from disadvantaged backgrounds, because what you don't want is a situation where you come in and you are the expert with all the knowledge, and the group you're working with is just deferring to you and doing what you say because you're the expert. You want to learn how to build your own expertise in things like humanitarian technology and how to do community development, so that when you approach a community in your local area, that you know how to fully understand their situation and fully understand what they're going through, and how to come up with your solution alongside them. You know, that's going to take some training. That's going to take some training that might not be in your regular engineering classes that you might have done at university. It takes some empathizing with the people you're working with. It takes some understanding that you have a lot to learn from the community you're working with and the challenges they face, just as much as they can learn from the technical expertise that your IEEE site group brings. So think about, and there are many resources available on the IEEE site website and elsewhere. Think about how your site group is going to build your own capacity to address these challenges and to work with disadvantaged communities, because it's a bit different to doing regular engineering where you're just given a problem and you have to solve it. And then finally, having identified a community, having understood their needs, having understood other stakeholders who are working in that area, having planned out how you're going to engage with them, and having planned out what you as a group should learn about humanitarian engineering, humanitarian technology before you start. It's time to submit the petition, but first you need to gather the signatures from the 6 members of your site group and also from your organizational unit. So if you're a student site group, that will include your faculty supervisor, your faculty mentor. Otherwise, that will also include kind of your representative from your section or representative from your chapter to approve the site group. And so having thought deeply about the impact you want to achieve for the community, who you're going to work with, how you're going to work with them, the next step is to just gather the signatures of your site members and of your organizational unit, and then you can submit. Okay, and I'll pass on to Dr. Darwin, I think, who will explain some further what is the characteristics of a strong site group.
Good morning and good evening to all. Thanks to Luanga, Juliana, and all the other committee members for sharing their knowledge on IEEE site groups, and site group petitions. Next, I am here to share my thoughts on the overall characteristics of a strong site group petition and some tips for a successful site group. What makes a site group petition strong? What to include? What to avoid? Here the answer, and we can see one by one. The petition becomes strong once the petitioner considers and makes clear some of the factors in it, which defines the need for the formation of the group. Also, it's always better to keep the content short and precise. That gives the reviewers a positive look on it. To start an IEEE site group first, we need to know the local community which might be facing challenges to get the basic needs in their day-to-day life. The local community might be a group of people living near us for whom we would like to solve the challenges with sustainable solutions. Next, we have to identify the team members who will be interested to work for the community. It's important to choose the team members with the same frequency as you to serve the community. The group must have a minimum of 6 IEEE members as mentioned earlier, so plan accordingly. If the petitioner is a student member, get help from the IEEE Student Branch Counselor or any other professional members of IEEE, and he or she must be a part of the group. Now, look for partners who can support and complement the work of the site group. The partners may be government organizations, NGOs, schools, hospitals, companies, and others. Also, it will be helpful if you could identify a team of volunteers from the local community to work with the team. Keep on developing the capacity of the team with proper training for effective and sustainable involvement. Considering frequent discussions and meetings helps in strengthening the bond between team members. The active engagement of the group members is the secret of a successful team, and it gives the encouragement to do more. With all the necessary information and team, create the roadmap or annual plan or action plan for the initial year. For any organization, the initial planning is very important to achieve the goals. The initial steps are very important and it gives the inspiration to move forward. So keep the feasibility of the plans in mind. The planning should consider the desired impact on the local community and make it clear to the team members. The tips to have a successful group petitions are: be realistic with what is to be accomplished in the time frame of 1 year. Concentrate on just 1 or 2 problems at a time. The solution should align with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, that is SDGs, and it need not align with all 17 goals. Just take 1 or 2 goals and work on that. If you plan the solution that aligns with all the SDGs, the solution will be too broad and it will question the solution's feasibility. This makes the reviewers likely think the group's area of interest is too broad to achieve in the short term. Be aware of the risk factors that could affect your group's activities. The risk factors may differ from community to community, and also learn the local regulations, if any, in the community. The planning process should be done taking all the risk factors and regulations into account. Understand the IEEE core capabilities and the group members' areas of expertise. Then fix the goals to reach that are in line with what the members can do or to be realistically trained to do in the time allotted. You can, of course, seek additional partners to help you achieve supplementary work which might need the expertise help, but make sure the site group members are always the core of the activities. In case of student site groups, the faculty advisors should review the petitions to ensure the petition sticks on to the guidelines, services the local community well, provides sufficient information, and is not too broad. Thanks to all the participants for showing your interest to serve the society through IEEE site. Hope the session will be helpful in writing IEEE site group petitions in future. We are awaiting to work together with you to make a better society for the people. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Darwin, and thank you, everyone. Langa, Dr. Connie, Dr. Nalisa, Matt, just appreciate your joining us today. And thank you, of course, to our attendees as well. I saw that we had some questions that came in during the session, and given that we do still have just about 15 minutes left in our time, I thought we could address those. So thank you for submitting. This one comes in from Mohammed Hafiz. So for the plan stage, when we were talking back about the 5 steps to form a site group petition, for the plan stage, that was that second step, what is the duration of the plan? And I know we mentioned that a little bit at the end, but if we could just reinforce that. How long should a plan be? And I'll open it up to all of our panelists to respond, and if you could just perhaps say your name before responding.
This is Connie Kelly. You should plan out the activities for roughly a year. That will give us an idea of whether or not you have a handle on what's going on. How long you take in planning depends on how long it takes you to do your research and formulate what you're going to be doing. But we'd like to see what you're going to be doing for roughly a year.
Thank you, Connie. And we've got another question in regarding the approval step, which is part of the process, and how long does that approval take? Perhaps I can just jump in and respond to this one because it has to do with more of the administrative process. Our site operations subcommittee meets virtually and many times by email once a month. So all petitions that were submitted in the past month are grouped together. Staff does a check to make sure the petitions are complete, and then they are passed along to our committee members for their review. So depending on the timing of submitting a petition, if it's submitted at the beginning of a month, it could take up to 4 to 5 weeks to hear back about the decision of your group. You would hear before that if the petition is complete, and at that point in time, staff support could give you an approximate estimate of when you should hear back about the approval. Now, the other case that I'll just mention briefly is that sometimes our operations committee receives petitions that perhaps need a little bit more development or need to be revised or provide additional information. If that is the case, when they review that petition, we'll send those questions and requests for clarifications back to you. And then they would review your response at the following month cycle. So in that case, if you receive those questions, it could take up to 2 months to hear a final response. And the goal there is that it's very infrequent that the operations subcommittee rejects the proposal right from the beginning with the first review. And if that were the case, it usually is because the group or the petition does not align at all with what IEEE site's mission is or what we hope to accomplish. Really, the goal is that the operations committee could provide that guidance, provide those ideas to how to make the petition very strong and to get it approved. So that would be the cause for an additional extension of that approval timeline. Okay, so we've got, wow, a lot of questions here today. Are there any requirements for an annual report for IEEE site groups? Maybe Longa, do you want to take this one? Because I know you, as site chair, you've also been involved with the some changes to the operations handbook.
Thank you, Juliana, and thank you so much for the question. One of the issues, one of the key points that we need to look at as this, in respect to your question, is that it is imperative that you continuously submit whatever activities that your group is implementing, and these activities definitely will as well contribute towards will actually update us on will let us know that your group is really active and it's really doing something on the ground. And then at some point towards before the end of the year, it is also imperative that you submit in previously, we've been requesting in for sending in like some sort of a survey form to all our volunteers so that they can share in what they've implemented during the entire year. But this time, we do think that it is imperative that you continuously submit in your continued activities that your group is implementing, and definitely those activities at the end, by the year ends, they definitely contribute towards the entire report of your group.
Thank you, Longa. And maybe I'll just add there for additional clarification, because IEEE site groups are created now as IEEE organizational units, once they've been approved, all site group chairs have access to something called IEEE vTools reporting. So that's an existing platform that's managed by IEEE Member in Geographic or MGA. And vTools has the capability to not only report your site group officers, but also to report your site group's activities, as Longa was mentioning. So we encourage site groups to report their activities through the year. Although if you'd like to leave it until the end of the year, you may do that as well. We do ask that the activities are reported by December, and that information get pulled in for the Site Group of the Year award. And then the only other reporting that we have at present, sometimes there are requests that go out, either survey requests or other requests for information that we reach out to the site group chairs directly on a case-by-case basis. Okay, so another question from Muhammad, who is asking about the questions on the form, if there is a word limit. I know that was something we spoke about at the committee. I don't know if we came to an agreement about the word limit, but I know we were trying to encourage concise responses. It's not necessary to provide pages of information. I believe we'll look at a word limit that would perhaps allow 2 to 3 paragraph response for those questions. Okay, and here's a question. I'll open this up to any of the panelists that would like to respond. For the one-year plan, do we need to include a budget or a source of any financial contributions together with our petition?
Well, submitting a budget shows that you've actually thought about what you're going to do and how you're going to do it. And fiscal responsibility is always a major plus when we're reviewing applications.
And definitely regarding the financial, source of financial, because in the question I also see the source of finance in the petition. Definitely that will also contribute much in informing us that definitely your group has like potential partners, or it has a potential to collaborate with your community. Because, for example, assuming your group is to receive some sort of financial support from a local organization, that definitely indicates that your group has the possibility or the potential to collaborate and partner with a local organization, so that together the group and the organization work on the local challenge.
Thank you. So we have another question, and this actually could go to almost all of our panelists, as many of you are also involved with the HAC site project review. Is it an advantage for a HAC fund application for a project if the petitioner is connected with a site group? Or if the project application comes from a site group?
Well, basically, if you're connected with a site group, it shows that you already have some level of organization, and you're not in the process of forming your group while you're going to be attacking a problem. So it shows that there's more than one person involved, and you already have structure that you're going to approach the problem with. So it's not mandatory, but it's definitely a plus because it shows that there's already a structure in place to start working on a problem, and you're not just going to start recruiting.
Sure. Definitely, as it is also seen or known, a project, if like a team if a solution cannot be worked on by an individual. So that indicates that definitely a team is already existing, which is definitely ready to jointly work on the project, because definitely a project might need different specialties or different skills. So if you are a group, definitely it's a plus, like Kelly has already said, whereby each member would definitely contribute towards the solving of the problem. Thank you.
And I'll add to what Connie and Loanga just said, that being part of a site group shows that you already have people who are engaged with the community and who are in that process of learning about how to approach a problem in the humanitarian technology space. And so that would give you a great understanding about how you'd actually do the projects that you're applying for funds for. Like who you're going to work with and how you're going to work with them are key parts of the site petition. And once you sort that out, then you're very ready to apply for funds for specific projects.
I agree. I think that's the perfect response from all of you. Thank you. So we do have about 5 minutes left, and I will just encourage our attendees, if you have any other questions or ideas, please feel free to submit them. I actually had a couple of questions for our panelists just to highlight some of the things that we've seen this year in petitions that have been submitted. So if there's no other questions from the attendees, I'll go ahead and ask mine. So if I am a site group applicant, I'm involved with my local community, perhaps in a way that I'm aware of many challenges that they are facing. A lot of them are interconnected. I have a lot of ideas about what me and my site group would like to do. What if I just list all of those ideas on the petition, and I know they'll align perhaps with almost all of those UN Sustainable Development Goals, and I'm not sure where to start, so I just would like to share all of my ideas. What would perhaps be the committee's response to seeing a petition like that? Or what would be your guidance for the applicant?
Can I answer that, Julian? Okay, when I review, you know, as I said just now during my presentation just now, it is preferred that the group focus on 1 or 2 or at least a minimum of 3 SDGs, because we do not expect, especially from student branch, to solve the world's problem or the community A to Z their problems. So because first, a majority are the students, so you have your own commitment to your study. So hence, for this type of work, the HSC work or the site work, it is best if you can just focus and concentrate the one that you are able to succeed, right? So success rate is important here. So hence, do not focus on, do not try to solve too much, right? So just focus on the things that you know that you are able to succeed. Thanks. Maybe others like to add?
Basically, it should be realistic and attainable. There might be a realistic goal, but you're not going to solve it within a year within the staff that you have. So it needs to be something that the group can actually accomplish, as opposed to some pie in the sky, lofty goal, which may be a perfectly good goal. It's just not something that you're going to be able to do.
Thank you.
I totally.
Oh, go ahead, Matt.
Yeah, I totally agree. And so think about what skills and expertise do you bring in as IEEE members and as an IEEE site group? Because in the IEEE, we have a number of skills, and there are also a number of skills that we don't have. You know, I would not go to the IEEE to to build a water and sanitation system, for example. So think about what skills that you have within your section or chapter or university branch, and think about which of those challenges that you think your group could actually achieve, as Nolisa and Connie have said, and then think about who you can work with, which organizations or businesses or governments are already working in this area you can work with to address the problem.
You know, something else that we haven't really touched on is the build versus buy argument. If you're planning on coming up with a dramatic solution to a problem that someone has already solved and could be easily obtained at a fraction of the cost of the project you're proposing, sometimes it's better to say, well, we'll help you evaluate what's out there rather than start from scratch and build something, because you know you don't want to spend a lot of money on something that you could have bought very easily for a fraction of the cost. So that all comes in terms of the realism of your project. Is it realistic to even start on the project, or just go with purchasing something off the open market?
Very true. Okay, I'll sneak in one last question before we close, if that's okay with everyone. If I were a site group applicant and I'm ready to start my group, but I don't really have any existing relationship with community entities. I have an idea of who I think I could partner with. I'm familiar with what they do, but I really don't have that relationship established yet. Can I still form a site group if I let you know about the plan, or is it too early?
The application would probably be better if, before you submitted your plan, look up the group on the internet, find out who's in charge, contact them, talk to them.
Mm-hmm.
Because as we said several slides ago, you need to talk to the community, because your idea may be something totally opposite of what the group would really want help in. So before you submit your application, actually talk to someone that you'll be working with and make sure that they're on board with what you want to do and that it's what they want to do, because the greatest plan in the world is worthless if it's not what somebody wants. You can't go in and force something on a group. You have to have the group's buy-in. So yes, I would say it would be too early to submit your proposal. Talk to the people first.
In addition to Kelly's contribution, definitely you can reach us, the entire site team, or the entire site chair, the site chair, or even IEEE staff for any guidance, because, for example, you may not have contacts of your fellow IEEE members within your your locality. So if like you write to us, definitely we can always link you up to some of the volunteers that you might reach out to for any ideas and thoughts and guidance.
I just want to add to that you'll note in the petition, engaging with the community is a question on the petition, and your own learning plan for how you're going to build your understanding of the community needs and how to approach humanitarian work is also a question on the petition. So absolutely, you should do some research into the community groups that are existing and already working in the area you want to work in. But then also think about you do need some good answers on how you will engage them and how you will build your own group's ability to do humanitarian work and to engage with the community better.
I hope that today's session will be very useful, and all the panelists are doing their work very well. So we are ready to help for any help. If you have any doubt, you can contact any persons which are related to site or site officers. You can contact. So anytime you can contact. It will be useful for your local community. They will benefit for us.
Thank you, everyone. I believe that's all the time we have for today. We've gone a little bit over the mark, so thank you for indulging me with those last couple of questions. It was great to have the interaction with our attendees today, and thank you for your excellent questions. We sincerely hope that this presentation will be helpful for those online right now, and then also for those who will be listening in the future. Just as a reminder, these slides and the recording of these slides will be shared with everyone who registered and who agreed to be contacted, and then they will also be posted to the site website for future reference. And as Dr. Darwin was mentioning, you may send questions about this theme or related themes within IEEE site to the email address site@ieee.org. And that link is also going to be in our presentation, so you'll have that contact information. So I just want to take a special time to thank our panelists for their time, their efforts in preparing for this session, and really throughout the year of reviewing all of the petitions, of offering that guidance and feedback to our petitioners, to our applicants. They've really done an excellent job. This year we've approved, if I remember correctly, 18 new site groups to add to our community, our global network. So it's just been wonderful having the chance to work with all of you this year, and I'm excited for the new petitions that we'll receive in the next 3 months. So thank you all so much for joining.